Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending today's Training Tuesday webinar. I'm Heidi Reese with Dayton Superior's Marketing Department in the training world, along with Chuck Hoke, who is our National Training Manager. We're really excited to be hosting this short, insightful training for you that happens each week, and hope that you have been enjoying them and gain some knowledge from our product experts. So again, like normal, for some housekeeping, just wanted to let you know that everybody's been muted on the call so that there's no disruptions behind the scenes, but don't let that stop you from putting in any questions that you might have in the Zoom chat functionality. You can do that throughout the presentation, but at the very end, we'll have a very brief question and answer session where I will ask on your behalf and we'll get those answered for you. So also, the presentation is being recorded in case you want to re-listen to it later or forward to someone that couldn't make it or just whatever. And it'll be posted out on our YouTube channels as well as our DaytonSuperior.com. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about an introduction to the LEED, that's L-E-E-D, and our LVOC chemicals. And this webinar, you should expect to learn what is LEED. We're going to just go through a very brief overview. Again, we only have 30 minutes to talk about everything, and there's quite a lot to do, but we wanted to give you what LEED was, that overview, how to potentially get credits and certifications for it, and then some chemical options to help you to achieve that. And as well as talking about the epoxies and liquids overview so you can understand what those chemicals are intending to do. So with us today is our resident chemical expert, Matthew Carter. He is quite active in many industry organizations such as the ACIKS chapter, the ICRI Great Plains chapter, and he's also a voting member for the ASTM CO9 committees. He has 20 plus years of work history within the field and consisting of on-site as well as dealer distributor levels. And he has fulfilled roles that include sales, form rental yards, and rebar shop management, as well as operations management. So Matthew joined us back in 2012 at Dayton Superior, and he is our technical service team manager supporting the chemical division. So with that, and before my voice goes out, Matthew, go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Heidi, for that wonderful introduction. Fancier than it probably is, but I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to be with everyone here today. As Heidi said, this is a very, very brief overview of a very complicated subject, right? So we're going to try to make it nice and easy and accessible. We're going to try to address additional resources as we go through here that you can look at, and then don't hesitate to either ask questions or contact us. As Heidi said, we're going to look at LEED, how it affects Dayton Superior, how we can deal with that, mass certified, what that is and how it relates, and then what other types of products can be used for low VOC applications. So we're going to start looking at LEED, right? We hear that term often. It's kind of grown in prominence over the last couple of years. LEED is the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. It's a green building certification for sustainability. It looks at the building construction, interiors, operations, maintenance, core, the shell, and this also works with new buildings and also building renovations. It is sponsored and created and maintained by the US GBC, which is the Green Building Council, and there are chapters throughout the country, so it's very easy to look up additional resources, look up additional people in your area that have been certified or trained, because there is a LEED certification for an individual. Again, these certifications, these programs and credits, they're based around a project's goals, scope, types of construction, whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, low-rise, high-rise. There's a bunch of different ones that you can look at. And then they have program requirements and prerequisites that go with them. And right here's the website for the LEED Tools, Training System Selection and Guidance. It's a really good resource to look at. But participation in the LEED program can lead to LEED certification. There's different levels of certification. They work through different categories, everything from sustainable sites, how they handle water on the project, let alone as it's being used throughout its lifespan. materials and resources, innovations, and then one that we're going to be addressing a little bit more is indoor air quality. So why do LEED? It's a beneficial program, but simply put, you end up with a more energy efficient building with a little less impact on the environment, which can lead to better marketability and lower operation costs, right? And that can often lead to higher lease rates, more prominence, and a overall better building. We saw this program. I would say it started mostly on the coast, gained a lot of prominence, and has worked its way across the country and even overseas, and it's in multiple countries now. Really nice program. And one thing that it does focus on is indoor air quality or low emitting materials. And that's where I would say we've put on the chemical side a really big focus. Because again, we're using chemical products, we're not metals, we're not going to have a lot. We have an accessory division that can talk a little bit more about the recycled content and everything else of the metals that are being used. Here we're looking at the indoor air quality or low emitting. The intent for this is to look at the concentrations of chemical contaminants that can affect the air quality that we're in that local environment and or in that building. You've got two main requirements. You've got a VOC requirement, and that is going to be the volatile organic compounds in that area. And they said, hey, you need to base the VOC requirements of the material you're using around California's VOC restrictions. That is CARB, which is the Carolina Air Resource Board, and then the South Coast Air Quality Management Division, which is Southern California. But along with that, they also put in LEED V4, or starting in LEED V4, the CDPH requirement. And CDPH is the California Department of Health. It is a testing method where they will take an item, put it in a vacuum chamber, and essentially pull off anything that is off-gassing or emitting or any smells that might be there. Think of it as a new car, right? You step into a new car and man, that new car smells great, but that's really chemicals and things that are kind of off-gassing inside that car, right? And so if you had a new building, let's say you had a classroom with 30 or 40 chairs or items or furnishings that all had that smell, how long are they going to last for? What kind of impact are they going to have? That's why they started using this test method. So here they're using this test method against liquid applied products in addition to the VOC restrictions. How is Dayton Superior going to help? What are we doing for LEED projects to make it a little bit easier for specifiers, contractors, and distributors? Dayton Superior reached out and has been working with a company called MASS for their MASS Certified Green program. And they are a testing lab that does the CDPH test. And once they have evaluated a product, they will supply a little green leaf that you see up there. It's a MASS Certified Green. And as you go through a product's technical data sheet, if it has been certified against that program, you'll see it on there. So it's very simple. So when you go do your submissions or you're pulling your documentation, it's there. It's easy to find. And over time, we have actually gone to 20 plus products that are on this list that you can submit. Because not only are we talking about indoor air quality, this category actually takes into account all the emissions for that project for the local environment. So not only do we have anchoring gels and bonding agents that might be indoors, but you also have decorative concrete products. You've got bonding agents and form releases that, while they may not be encapsulated or part of the building envelope or inside of it, they're only used temporarily during the construction phase, they still contribute to the project as a whole. So we put together a nice little technical bulletin. It's on the left-hand side, and it's readily available on our website. One thing you will not see on a lot of on there are repair mortars and grouts, and that's because LEED V4 went through and said, hey, there are categories that are inherently non-emitting, and you can see them listed there, glass, brick, and other things, but concrete is listed in there. It's a powder product. It doesn't have integral VOCs that are going to happen, right? You're just mixing water with it to get a hardened product. So that's why you're not going to see a lot of powdered grouts or repair mortars or even underlayments on them. So that we have a lot of product categories on there, and again, it kind of encompasses everything goes in, on, and around a building project. If there is something that, as you're working on a project or you're starting to get into a little bit more, you're like, man, I really wish we could find this type of product or this certain product, reach out to us. We'll be happy to have it evaluated, looked at, and consider it. The first subject we're going to look at is the epoxy line. Epoxies are just typically two-component products. They are chemically cured, they come together, and they act as a glue of a sort. They have a lot of benefits to them, and they can be used or utilized in a lot of ways. Some of the most popular ones are anchoring gels, right? So structural anchoring epoxies, we've got Sure Anchor J51 and Propoxy 300 Fast. Their most popular applications are anchoring in rebar and threaded rod, right? They're gel, so they're going to hang really well on vertical surfaces. If you wanted to use them as a bonding agent on a vertical surface, it's been done, and it's very applicable. But as we move from a gel, there's more than one application for an epoxy on a site, right? And one of those is bonding fresh to hardened concrete or even hardened to hardened concrete. So let's say I have a bonded topping slab I need to put down, or if I'm doing a structural repair to a certain area and I want to use an epoxy. We've got medium viscosity epoxies, the SureBond J58 and the Propoxy 200. Again, honey viscosity, they're easy to pour, spread, squeegee, or roll down, and they're very accepting of fresh mortar on top of them. That's exactly what they're designed for. You have some secondary applications where you can use them for bolting or doweling where necessary, but I'd say predominantly you're seeing them as bonding epoxies. Continuing with that trend, we also have injection epoxies. So if you got a crack that develops in a rehab or new construction and you need to seal it, watertight, structurally bond it back together, Propoxy 100 is a very good option. It's a structural injection epoxy for hardened to hardened and fresh to hardened concrete. It has also been tested against NSF 61, which is a potable water drinking standard. We'll see that kind of pop up on a few of our other products as well. Finally, in the epoxy line, we have epoxy coatings, right? The Spec Coat 100 is an epoxy line. It's 100% epoxy. It's got very good moderate chemical resistance. It has been used from everything from residential applications, garage floors, up to the bottom left corner shows a manufacturing facility, industrial, chemical facility, and at the top right, that would be a showroom floor. It is available in multiple colors. So not only can you do decorative items with it, but you can also do demarcation. So let's say if you're in a warehouse and you want people to be in one area and traffic like fork trucks in another area, you can use different colors for clear demarcation. Transitioning out of the epoxies, but still staying in the bonding agents, we have liquid applied bonding agents. So these are going to be water-based products. And one of the most popular is the acrylic bonding agent J40. Oftentimes you'll hear this product or this type of product referred to as milk. You use it as a bonding agent on the existing concrete just prior to placing your fresh mortar on there, so like a repair mortar. You can also use them as an admixture in our products to help with not only adhesion but durability. If you've got a form and pour or something that's going to be a little bit more awkward to get in, something that is going to be difficult to do a wet-on-wet application, we have a PVA bonding agent, J41. This is a product that you would apply, let dry, and then you would pour back against it and it reactivates. This is very good for like enclosed form and pour applications where you got to form up around it. And then we have the underlayment primer called Level Primer Concentrate and the Level Primer Ready to Use, the J42. So again, remember, a lot of the powder products, you're not going to see them tested as much because of that inherently non-emitting, but you've got a liquid applied primer that goes down. And so we've got the J42 that would go for the underlayments, like the Econo Level and Level Layer, and the level topping. So to back up a little bit, in the building process, bond breakers, right? Tilt-up construction on site, warehouses, and now you're starting to see even manufacturing residential, large residential projects be tilt-up. So for that, there are bond breakers available. And again, remember, while they're not going to be an integral part of the finished product, they're still going to have an effect on the local atmospheric conditions, right? So we're trying to, again, with LEED, you're trying to protect the environment that you're working in. So for this one, we have actually a very good Training Tuesday on bond breakers and introduction. But we have two products called SureLift J6WB. It's going to be a water-based product. It meets all VOC regulations in the U.S. Very easy to apply, and again, you can use it as a cure. So you can final finish, use this product as a curing membrane, follow it up with 2 bond breaker applications, and lift your wall. Similar product, but with a key differentiator is going to be the Maxi Tilt with Dye. Again, it's going to be a water-based product. It's going to be another tilt-up reactive bond breaker. One of its key differences, though, is it's got a fugitive dye, and it makes it very easy for visual inspection. That way you can see it's been applied here. We need more there. As we're doing new construction, as we're even rehabbing, we're oftentimes placing concrete, right? As you're placing concrete, you need to cure the concrete, and you do that by protecting it in its early age so it can gain the properties that were designed for it. By curing it, you're protecting it and increasing it, maintaining its abrasion and permeability. If you let it dry out too early, you lose a lot of key performance factors. So we're going to start looking at some of the curing products that are out there. And so if we got a big open slab, indoors or outdoors, we have really good options for you. One of my favorites is the Clear Cure VOC J7WB. It is a ridiculously long name to try to say. We just often refer to it as J7WB. But this is one of my favorite cures because it has a very fast dissipation time. It starts to break down in 7 to 10 days. It's going to start going through the whitening process that you would see over here on the kind of the right-hand side. That's it's kind of dusting and breaking down. It meets all the aspects of ASTM C309. It's type 1, class A and B. It's resin-based. Got the LEED review for the mass certified green, but it's also NSF 61 approved for potable water drinking standard. Another very good product is a Clear Resin Cure J11. And you'll see that one on the left-hand side. This is very good for exterior applications. It's going to take 30 to 60 days for it to start to dissipate. It's a very good cure, especially in exterior concrete, and it's available with a fugitive dye under the name J11WD. It's a resin cure with dye, J11WD. Then finally, we have a Cure Hard J14. I really recommend this one when the walls and roof are up. You might not have a hard spec that says you have to be a 309 product, but this is a good, it's non-membrane forming, but it's a curing aid, and its benefit is that when you place it and apply it, it helps, but it doesn't leave a membrane behind, so you still be compatible without any serious cleaning or removal for any secondary adhesives, mastics, or paint. Prior to final finishing, prior to the final cure, just to give yourself a little bit more working time, prevent any crazing or drying or early age shrinkage cracks, we have evaporation retardants, and we have already evaluated them against the mass certified green as well. These products do a very good job as you are screeding, finishing, let's say you bull float it and you got to wait to come back and put a hard trowel on it, but you got a stiff wind, low humidity from cold weather, you've got a lot of heat drying it out from a hot summer. These are very good products that will extend your set time without getting a crusting or drying out on the surface. But if you want to cure, but you want it to be there for a long time and protect it, maybe while the trades are on it, or even longer, and you want something decorative, we have cure and seals. These are going to leave behind a topical acrylic film. Dayton Superior predominantly carries a type 1, which is clear, and all of their products are going to be a class A, which are non-yellowing. And that's just always something to watch out for. As you're looking at different products and different manufacturers, always double check that the classes, A, B, and C. A is non-yellowing. The other ones have can change color. And here we offer two really good products. We have the Cure and Seal 309EF and the Cure and Seal 1315EF. The 309 is essentially named after the specification that it meets, ASTM C309. It is a medium solids product. The 1315 standard requires 25% solids, and it just doesn't have quite enough to get there. But that's okay because this is a very good product that can be used. It's very economical. The Cure and Seal 1315 takes it a step above the standard 1315, goes with a 30% solid. Both of these are very good products to use for curing, protecting, and providing a long-lasting acrylic on top of that concrete. They'll last for months to years. If you wanted to do a final coat on one of those acrylics as you're coming off, the trays are coming off, you're about to go hand it over to the owner, you've got the Ultra Seal EF. It is compatible with both Cure and Seals, and it's a standalone sealer by itself for interior or exterior concrete. It is a water-based product, very low odor, very easy to work with, and resistant to a lot of your common chemicals. But if you want other sealing options, liquid densifiers have come a long way as far as being specified and used in many applications. Liquid densifiers work by being applied to concrete. They soak into it and they react inside of it. So there's no topical film that's going to be a wear surface, right? So it goes in and it reacts inside of it to close off the capillaries and pores in the concrete. Shuts off the porosity, makes it harder for liquids and contaminants to get in, while at the same time making them more abrasion resistant. And in many cases, and you can see that in the bottom right-hand corner, you can go so far as to polish them up and bring out a really nice luster or sheen. We've got 3 products that have been evaluated against mass certified green for that CDPH testing. The Densifier J13 and its concentrate version J12. Because we have the J12 because it can be expensive to ship water, right? J13 is a very good basic densifier. It's going to cut down dusting of any potential dusting of the floor, while at the same time allowing that floor to accept secondary finishes, paints, mastics, adhesives. If you're going to polish your floor, if you want a high-end durable finish, I would recommend the Sure Hard Densifier J17. This product has been used on big box stores for decades and has got millions and millions of square feet of both commercial, industrial, and residential applications. Scrub-in style, once treated, it is very resistant to abrasion and does a very nice job rejecting contaminants. I'm going to shift over to liquid form releases. Oftentimes these are going to be what you're treating your forms with to pour your concrete into. And again, they're not left behind. They're not an integral part of the concrete, but they are used on that job site, so they're going to be caught under that umbrella for a LEED certification. A good quality form release is going to prevent the fresh concrete from bonding to the formwork. It's not going to leave behind any residue, and it's going to be easy to use and low VOC. For the contractor, formwork is expensive. It's expensive to maintain. It's expensive to reface or to refurbish. So we want to use a good quality form release to make it last longer, right? Instead of using just CDX or MDO or HDO, the use of a form release is going to make those products last longer and increase the longevity of the form that you're using. In addition to, and this goes with the precaster as well, you're going to end up with a final product that's going to be much more aesthetically pleasing. You're going to have less pullouts, pop-outs, and DENSIFIER has 3 products that can be used in conjunction with LEED projects that have been evaluated by CDPH or against CDPH. 2 of them are water-based, and that's a Clean Strip J1EF, and that's on the left-hand side, and the Farm Fresh XL on the right. They're going to both be water-based, barrier style. Both of them have been evaluated against NSF ANSI 61 for potable water applications. There are a number of people that prefer a petroleum mineral oil-based form release, and that is going to be the Clean Strip J100. That is a highly refined oil that is being used there. And it's going to be more consistent with some of the standard form releases that are going to be out in the market. But it has been formulated with less than 100 grams per liter VOC. So again, it's going to be compliant in all regions. Then finally, decorative, right? So exposed aggregate concrete. We carry the top cast line, which is a highly specified, very highly specified exposed aggregate system. You can go from an acid etch sandblast finish up to large exposed aggregate. It's being used to delineate, demarcate, but also add a decorative finish or touch and differentiate the concrete over just a straight broom finish. But how do you protect it long term? How do you install it? And so we've got a family of products built around the top cast line. The first one is the EX200, which is a wash-off extender. It increases the wash-off time for that product, makes it a more consistent, which is highly beneficial to the installation contractor and provides a nicer, cleaner product for the owner. And then once it's installed and it's in place, well, now we want to protect it. So we've got a penetrating protector, the PR300. It's going to be applied to the concrete. It's going to soak in and react inside that concrete, offering water repellency and some densification. Got a cure and seal for fresh concrete as well. It's going to provide a semi-gloss finish. It's going to also offer a C309 cure for that decorative concrete. And then we've got a high gloss sealer that can either be used independently by itself, or it can be used in conjunction with the CS. But what if we're not on a LEED project, but we need a low VOC option? We're going to start looking briefly at our line of exempt solvent products, the LVOCs. We're going to back up a little bit. So I pulled this from the EPA. What is a VOC, right? And I put the brief definition here. It's a volatile organic compound. It reacts in the atmosphere that results in essentially pollution. It often is sourced from industrial coating operations, solvents, paints, household chemicals, and a lot of industrial products. And get exemptions though. And then these exempt products oftentimes they're exempt solvents. These are products that react slowly and have minimal changes in emissions in the region. Because of that, oftentimes if you're looking at exempt solvent products, those exempt solvent products have a much faster evaporation rate. So if you're looking at a standard solvent product versus an exempt solvent, it's going to dry much, much faster. Due to that, it's also going to maybe have a little bit more flammability to it. And I would say before you go using a lot of exempt solvent products, I would say try them and sample them, because while they will perform and look very similar to their standard solvent-based products, the application method might just be a little bit different for you. And to touch on why you need exempt VOCs, so the EPA covers the entire country, right? So the EPA has set VOC restrictions across the entire country. But there are pockets and areas across this country that have said, hey, we want to restrict a little bit more in our area to protect the environmental conditions here. You've got the OTC, Ozone Transportation, up in the Northeast. You've got LADCO, or Great Lakes Consortium, around the Great Lakes. You've got parts of Maryland and D.C., which have more restricted VOC region. Colorado changed a couple years ago. You've got 7 counties in Utah. And then you've got Northern and Southern California as CARB and South Coast Air Quality Management, in addition to VOC restrictions in Canada. And so instead of a standard solvent in many of these areas, you have to use an exempt solvent. And for that, Dayton Superior has formulated multiple products that will fit into those regions while still providing the same performance and aesthetic that you would normally see. So in this case, looking at the Cure and Seal products, we have a Cure and Seal 25% J20 LVOC and the Cure and Seal 30% J23 LVOC. J20 LVOC, that one is formulated to stay sprayable in cooler conditions. So it maintains its viscosity as it gets colder. It meets ASTM C309 and 1315. It has a 25% solids as outlined in its name by itself. The J23 LVOC takes it a step above again and beats the specification with 30% solids. If you're looking for a decorative sealer, water-based products are a very good option. A lot of people like solvent-based because they tend to darken and enrich in the substrate. Especially in decorative concrete, it might bring out some of the decorative colors that are being used. We have the AgriGloss J25 and the Tough Seal J35 LVOC versions. Again, they're going to be non-yellowing. They're going to be higher end acrylics than the standard Cure and Seal, and they're going to do a very good job of being abrasion and impact resistant. These products would also be compatible with the Cure and Seal. So as you cure and seal it, if you need to come back during your maintenance program in a couple of years and you want to refreshen or re-accentuate your gloss, you can come back and we also have the SureLift J6 LVOC. This is going to be a bond breaker. It's going to be along the same lines as the standard J6 product where it's a bond breaker, except it's going to be the exempt solvent. It's going to act as its own cure, while it will also be a two-coat bond breaker application. It is going to be a fast dry product and is very beneficial for areas that might need something that dries a little bit quicker than maybe a water-based product, especially if you have high humidity or cooler temperatures, and it's going to resist foot traffic once dried. One note I will say about exempt solvent products or solvents in general is we do not recommend them indoors. Solvents by themselves have a smell. I think we've all had a solvent smell before or been around them, but we don't recommend solvents indoors, and we don't like them indoors also for any potential flammability. Overall, though, we have a lot of resources. Again, this is a very quick presentation. So if you need to reach out to anybody on our website, you can go look for the contacts for your specific region. We have technical sales reps and we have dealer sales managers. We also have technical assistants. We have technical assistants for accessories, forming, and chemicals. We have an e-commerce website and we have product pages, also called landing pages. On those landing pages, you'll find safety data sheets and technical data sheets. That'll give you more information. And as you see here, a little green leaf shows up, and with that little symbol is the NSF 61 approval. We have a LEED product request. So if you've got a project and you want us, if you need additional information on that or additional submittal information, we can definitely provide that and we can type it up. There's your request form. Then we have a quick reference guide for VOCs and shelf life data in North America. Training programs. Definitely reach out to Heidi or Chuck. They are going to be your best resources for training across the country. If you reach out to your local dealer sales manager or technical sales rep, they'll also be happy to provide local trainings for you. Support, again, myself, I'm in the chemical technical division. I'm happy to help you if you reach out at any time, email or call. And we have chemical specification assistance. So if you've got a question, concern, you're trying to meet a spec, you've got to cross something over, reach out. We'll definitely help you the best we can. Finally, we have third-party testing, certification, and compliance. Right? So we talked about Mass Certified Green. We also work with multiple companies for NSF 61 approvals, and we also use third-party testing to evaluate our products where necessary. With that, I want to say thank you and open the floor to any questions, and hand it back over to Heidi for any additional notes.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew. That was a lot of information, and so you guys can either re-watch it later on. I am going to be sending an email letting you know when that is available. I'm also going to include all of the Training Tuesdays that were recommended to to get more information on there. Go ahead and put your questions in if you have any. We're a little over time, but we can do one if you have one. And as a reminder, we do these every Tuesday with different topics. I do want to say that next Tuesday, we are not going to be having a Training Tuesday, so enjoy your holiday week, but we'll be back at it on the 29th for an engineering services for forming. So if there's no other questions, just want to thank you so much for attending and learning about the LEED and all the chemicals that we can help you with. So you guys have a great Tuesday. See you next time.
Thank you.